Hello, my name is Jerry Roxbury. I'm an amateur historian and collector of Civil War artifacts, naval artifacts, and in particular, Confederate States Navy artifacts. What I'm going to show you today is first off, some carte de visite, or calling cards, of Confederate naval officers. Now, these calling cards became popular in the 1850s through about the 1880s, and were basically the baseball cards of their day. The officer would sit at a studio, get his picture taken, and then from the negative, copies would be made and then placed on these cards for sale sometimes to the general public. But the officer himself would utilize them as calling cards. I do have one from Lieutenant William Whittle, the executive officer of the CSS Shenandoah, and it's actually signed in his hand on the back, "Yours truly, William." Also were some buttons and some other artifacts, some scrimshaw, a whale's tooth from the Commerce Raider CSS Sumter, which was commanded by Raphael Sims. It was his first venture in the commerce raiding business. Moving on, I have two documents that are very significant. The first one is the commissioning certificate appointing French Forrest as the flag officer of the Virginia Navy. French Forrest was a very senior federal naval officer. He actually had service back from the War of 1812, was a hero of the Mexican War, but during the Civil War he resigned his commission and offered his services to the state of Virginia. And when Virginia initially seceded from the Union, they didn't immediately join the Confederacy. So in that interim period of time, there was an actual Virginia Navy, and French Forrest was in the lead of that. After that, he actually received a commission in the Confederate States Navy, and was in fact the commander of the Gosport or the Norfolk Navy Yard during the conversion of the USS Merrimack to the CSS Virginia. This is a set of orders from Secretary of the Navy Stephen Mallory, detaching French Forrest from command of the Norfolk Naval Yard and having him to report to Richmond, Virginia, to assume duties of the Office of Orders and Details, and to turn over the Naval Yard to Captain Lee, and this would have been Sidney Smith Lee, Robert E. Lee's older brother, who had been a naval officer in the Union and then resigned his commission as well. The next document I have is the steward's ledger from the CSS Tennessee. Now, the steward would have been responsible for all the provisions on the ship, what they ate, how they lived, what the sailors were issued out. But this is unique in that it was actually captured by a sailor on the USS Hartford at the conclusion of the Battle of Mobile Bay. CSS Tennessee was Admiral Buchanan's flagship. The USS Hartford was Admiral Farragut's flagship. This was obtained from a messenger that took it off the ship and gifted it to John J. Spruill, who was a sailmaker's mate on the Hartford. And he was gracious enough to put this capture certificate and this inscription on the logbook stating as such. And I was fortunate to get this from a direct descendant of John J. Spruill. Thank you very much.